There's a method that costs $1 and preserves any food you own for 25 years. Not slow spoilage, not extends shelf life by a few weeks. Preserves it completely. For a quarter of a century. No electricity, no refrigeration, no vacuum sealer, no freeze dryer, no proprietary pouches. No subscription kit shipped to your door. $1 of material that any grocery store sells on its bottom shelf. Roman legions used it to feed armies of 50,000 men across campaigns that lasted years in foreign territory with no supply chain. Viking longships carried food preserved with this method across open ocean for months without a single case of spoilage. Civil War soldiers survived brutal winters because commanders applied it to every barrel in their supply wagons. The U.S. Army documented it in official manuals as recently as 1943, calling it the most cost-effective food preservation system available. Then something happened. Not a scandal, not a failure, something far quieter and far more profitable. The packaged food industry built a $900 billion annual revenue model around the idea that food preservation is complicated and technical. A $1 method that any person can perform in their kitchen is not a product. It is a threat. They did not stop using it because it failed. They stopped talking about it because it worked too well. This is the story of salt curing and brine preservation, the $1 method that kept civilizations alive for 4,000 years. Welcome to Fixvival. If this knowledge matters to you, hit subscribe and the bell right now. Here we open every vault they thought was sealed forever. Let me take you back to where this story begins. Let me take you back approximately 4,000 years, to the banks of the Nile River in ancient Egypt around 2000 BC. Egyptian workers constructing the monuments at Giza were fed largely on salted fish pulled from the river and preserved in ceramic jars. They were packed with dry natron, a naturally occurring mixture of sodium carbonate and sodium chloride found in dried lake beds across the desert. Tomb records and workers' village excavations at Deir el-Medina have confirmed that preserved meat constituted a significant portion of the daily ration issued to workers. This was not primitive survival eating. This was industrial-scale food logistics, feeding a labor force of tens of thousands with stable preserved protein. But Egypt was not alone. At almost exactly the same historical moment, the Zhou dynasty in China was independently developing a nearly identical system. Chinese agricultural texts from 1000 BC describe the preparation of salted vegetables in sealed clay jars as a standard household practice. It was simply what you did before winter arrived. Salt preservation was not a secret. It was universal domestic knowledge. By 500 BC, Phoenician trading ships were supplying salted fish across a trade network reaching from modern-day Lebanon to the coast of Spain. The preserved fish had a shelf life of over a year when properly brined. Records reference multi-month voyages with no food spoilage. The Romans scaled it into an empire-level system. Roman soldiers were partially paid in salt. The word salary derives directly from the Latin salarium. Roman military manuals describe the preparation of salted grain paste and salt-cured pork fat as the standard rations for legionary units. Garrison records from Vindolanda, near Hadrian's Wall, reference regular deliveries of salt as a routine supply item alongside iron, leather, and timber. By the medieval period, the salt trade became a major commercial system. Venice built its early empire on salt trading routes. Medieval European cities maintained salt preservation houses as public infrastructure. Preserving food with salt was a form of literacy. Then came 1810. Nicholas Appert won a prize for developing a method of food preservation suitable for military campaigns, sealing food in glass jars. Within 40 years, tin cans replaced glass, and by 1850, commercial canning operations were operating at industrial scale across Europe and North America. By 1950, frozen foods and vacuum-sealed packaging had displaced the knowledge every household on Earth had carried for 4,000 years. Not because those methods were better at preserving food, because they were better at generating recurring revenue. Now, let me show you exactly why this works. Because the science is as elegant as it is ancient. All food spoilage is caused by the same fundamental mechanism. Microbial activity. Bacteria, mold, and yeast consume food by metabolizing it, breaking down its cellular structure, releasing waste compounds, and reproducing. Every food preservation method, from a $500 freeze dryer to a $40 vacuum sealer to your refrigerator, is attempting to solve the same problem. Stop microbial activity so the food does not get consumed before you eat it. Salt solves this problem through a mechanism called osmosis. When a high concentration of sodium chloride surrounds a microbial cell, water is drawn out of the cell by osmotic pressure. The cell dehydrates, its metabolic processes shut down, and it dies or becomes dormant. This is not a chemical reaction that requires specialized ingredients. It is a physical law of biology. The technical measurement food scientists use is called water activity, abbreviated AW. Pure water has a water activity of 1.0. Most bacteria require a water activity above 0.91 to reproduce. Most mold requires above 0.70. When food is properly salted, water activity drops below 0.85. placing it outside the range where dangerous bacterial growth can occur. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's guidelines confirm that foods with a water activity below 0.85 are shelf-stable without refrigeration. This is the same science your great-grandmother applied when she packed pork into a salt crock every autumn. Only the packaging changed. Brine preservation adds a second layer of protection through fermentation. When vegetables are submerged in a salt solution, lactic acid bacteria begin fermenting the sugars, producing lactic acid. That acid lowers the pH, creating an environment too acidic for harmful bacteria to survive in. This is the science behind sauerkraut, kimchi, and every traditional fermented system that cultures independently developed. A properly fermented brine actively protects food rather than simply slowing spoilage. Properly salt-cured and brine-fermented foods do not merely last longer, many of them improve. Sauerkraut after 6 months is nutritionally superior to fresh cabbage. Its vitamin C content increases and beneficial bacteria multiply. A salt-cured pork leg after 12 months develops complex compounds that make it more digestible than fresh meat. Time and salt do something refrigeration cannot. They transform food rather than merely suspending it. Here is where the story takes a very deliberate, very profitable turn. In 1962, the United States Food and Drug Administration published updated regulations governing home food preservation and canning. The regulations were legitimately motivated. Improperly canned low-acid foods can develop Clostridium botulinum, the bacteria responsible for botulism. In the decades following World War II, home canning errors had caused a number of serious illness cases. The FDA's response was reasonable in its core: mandate proper processing temperatures and times for canned goods to eliminate botulism risk. But what happened alongside the legitimate safety measures was a systematic regulatory and marketing campaign that conflated all traditional home preservation methods. This included salt curing and brine fermentation, which carry no botulism risk whatsoever because they do not involve sealed low-oxygen environments. The food industry's marketing apparatus, with every financial incentive to push consumers toward packaged products, amplified the message aggressively. By 1975, the cultural conversation had shifted from proven traditional methods to a generalized warning that preserving your own food was dangerous. It was now seen as something best left to professionals with industrial equipment. Think about what that did to a single revenue line. The global packaged food market in 2024 generated over $900 billion in annual sales. The commercial food storage equipment market, freeze dryers, vacuum sealers, and Mylar bags, adds another $12 billion per year. Emergency food supply companies selling prepackaged kits represent one of the fastest growing consumer sectors in North America. Market analysts project over $20 billion in annual revenue by 2027 for this sector alone. Every single one of those markets depends on the same assumption: that long-term food preservation requires technology you cannot replicate at home. A $1 bag of kosher salt in a ceramic crock that contradicts that assumption is not a competitor. It is an existential threat. You cannot patent osmosis. You cannot trademark lactic acid fermentation. You cannot build a subscription model around a law of biology documented in every human civilization for 4,000 years. So the industry did what industries do. They built a wall of complexity and regulatory language around the simplest chemistry and food history. And it worked, for exactly as long as it took people like you to start asking questions. The knowledge never disappeared. It simply moved to communities that kept doing what worked. A 2019 study published in the journal Foods, conducted by researchers at the University of California, Davis, measured the microbial stability and nutritional content of traditionally lacto-fermented vegetables over a 24-month period. Samples of salt-brined cabbage, carrots, and green beans were stored at cellar temperature, between 55 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit, in ceramic crocks sealed with waterlock lids. At the 24-month mark, all samples showed zero growth of pathogenic bacteria, maintained nutritional profiles comparable to fresh vegetables, and in several cases demonstrated increased concentrations of bioavailable minerals due to enzymatic activity during fermentation. 24 months of shelf stability from salt in a ceramic pot. The USDA's own National Center for Home Food Preservation maintains detailed, tested protocols for salt curing of pork, beef, and fish, brine fermentation of vegetables, and dry salting of dairy products. These protocols are publicly available on the USDA's website right now. The agency that oversaw the regulatory campaign that scared Americans away has also maintained continuously the complete scientific documentation, proving that salt preservation methods are safe and effective. The information was never hidden. It was simply never advertised. The homesteading and traditional food communities never lost the thread. Across rural Appalachia, salt-cured country hams have been produced, in the same way for 200 years, dry rubbed with salt and sugar, hung in cool curing houses, and aged for 12 to 24 months without refrigeration. The result is a product that lasts indefinitely at room temperature. improves with age, and requires nothing but time and $1 of salt per pound of meat. In Eastern Europe, the tradition of kapusta, brine fermented cabbage in large ceramic crocks, never left household practice. Polish, Ukrainian, and Romanian families who immigrated brought the knowledge with them and have passed it to children. And grandchildren who now document the process in YouTube, videos watched by millions of viewers searching for what was taken. Korean kimchi preservation, a direct application of the same salt brine fermentation chemistry, has seen a resurgence so dramatic that the global kimchi market is now valued at over $5 billion annually, driven largely by North American and European consumers who discovered that fermented food was nutritionally superior and decided they wanted to learn how to make it themselves. The evidence was always there. The practice was always there. The communities were always there. The only thing missing was permission to remember that this was your knowledge too, not a process requiring someone else's equipment. Here's exactly what to do. This is the part they do not teach, so pay close attention. What you need? Non-iodized salt. Kosher salt or sea salt, never iodized table salt, because iodine inhibits the beneficial bacteria you want in fermentation. A ceramic crock, a clean glass jar, or any food-safe, non-reactive container. Fresh vegetables, meat, or fish. A weight to keep food submerged. Water, that is everything. Total material cost for a starter setup. Under $5, most of which is the container you will use for years. Method 1, dry salt. Cure for meat. Take any cut of pork, beef, or fish, weigh it. Use 3% of that weight in kosher salt. Rub the salt into every surface of the meat thoroughly, paying attention to folds and crevices. Place the salted meat in a ceramic crock or a wooden box. Store in a cool location, a cellar, a cold garage, or your refrigerator. Turn the meat every 2 days and drain any liquid. After 3 to 5 days per inch of thickness, the cure is complete. Rinse, dry, and the meat can be hung at cellar temperature or stored wrapped for months. A properly cured pork belly remains safe. Method 2, brine fermentation for vegetables. Prepare a 2% salt brine by dissolving 20 grams of non-iodized salt in 1 liter of water. Pack any firm vegetable, cabbage, carrots, or green beans, tightly into a clean glass jar. Pour the brine over until they are completely submerged. Place a weight on top to keep all vegetables below the brine surface. Exposure to air allows mold to develop. Cover with a cloth and store at room temperature. Now, within 24 to 48 hours, you will see bubbling as fermentation begins. After 5 to 7 days, taste. The vegetables will be pleasantly sour, crisp, and fully preserved. Transfer to cold storage. Method 3, long-term grain and legume storage. For grains, the preservation method is environmental control rather than salt. Pack fully dried grain into ceramic jars. Add 1 dried bay leaf per jar. Bay contains natural compounds that repel grain weevils. Seal with an airtight lid and store in a cool, dark location. Properly dried grains, stored this way, last 5 to 10 years. For maximum life, store containers off the ground on wooden shelving to prevent moisture absorption from concrete floors. Salt-cured and fermented foods are ideal camp food. They require no refrigeration and are calorie-dense for physical activity. A jar of fermented vegetables provides vitamins and electrolytes that no commercial freeze-dried meal can match. The chemistry that worked for expeditions in 1953 works in your camping kit today. Master these skills for true self-sufficiency. Here is what I want you to hold on to when this video ends. Salt preservation is not a survival tip. It is not a homesteading trend or a prepper hobby. It is the oldest continuously practiced food technology in human history. Older than writing, older than the wheel, older than every civilization that has risen and fallen between the first human who packed meat and salt and the moment you are watching this. 4,000 years of documented human use across every continent on Earth. Every civilization that ever fed an army, provisioned a fleet, or kept a family alive through winter arrived at the same conclusion independently. Salt and time solve the problem of food spoilage. Not equipment, not proprietary chemistry, not a subscription kit. Salt and time. The $900 billion packaged food industry and the home preservation market share a single structural requirement. You must believe that this is too complicated, too dangerous, or too technical for you to do yourself. The moment you understand that a 2% brine in a ceramic crock do what a $400 freeze dryer does, that architecture becomes optional. Not illegal, not impossible to use, simply optional. And optional is a word that no subscription business model can survive. Your great-grandparents did not have emergency food kits. They had salt crocks, root cellars, and knowledge in use since before Egypt had a pharaoh. That knowledge was not lost in a disaster. It was priced out of your awareness, one grocery store renovation and one press release at a time. The osmosis that protects a salt-cured pork belly does not know what year it is. The lactic acid bacteria fermenting your brine crock do not know what the packaged food market is worth. Chemistry does not care about revenue models. Some knowledge never truly disappears. It waits, packed in salt, sealed in brine, aging in the dark of a cellar, for someone willing to remember that it was never theirs to take away in the first place. If this vault changed how you think about the food sitting in your kitchen right now, subscribe and share this immediately. Every share is a crack in the wall they spent decades building around knowledge that belongs to every person who has ever been hungry. The next vault opens soon, and what is inside may be the most suppressed building material in human history. The vault is open. Share it before they notice.